In the last video, we wrote our first Python program. In this video, we are going to dive deeper into the syntax of Python and understand it even in more details. Now we wrote print and we wrote a parenthesis, then double quotes, hello world, and then again a double quote, and then again a parenthesis. And this printed this literally on the screen. How does it work? So print is a function in Python which prints anything that you give it as an argument, and in order to pass it an argument, you open a parenthesis. So you say to the print function that, hey, process whatever I give you inside this parenthesis. Print is a function and this is a way to call this function. We have another function called abs, and we can pass it for the arguments, which simply means that process this number. Now different functions process different things in different ways. We can even write our custom functions. So let's write an even complex Python program and understand it in more detail. So I'm going to close VS Code and I'm going to open this Python course folder, and let's create another folder and let's name it 02_Python syntax. And let's open this folder. Now we can always open VS Code and we can open a particular folder inside VS Code. But let me show you another technique to open a folder in VS Code even more conveniently than we have already done. So if you press Shift key on your keyboard and you press right click, you are going to see an option called Open with Code. If you don't see this option, it means that you have not installed VS Code like I did, but 99.99% of the people are going to see this option. As long as you have not made any mistake while installation, you are going to see this option. If you don't see this option, reinstall VS Code on your PC and you should see this option. Let's click on Open with Code, and this folder is opened in code. Any file I create here will be visible here and vice versa. So let's create a main.py file. I created a main.py file and I'm going to write some code inside this file. So let's say I want to print hello Harry, and let's say I want to print I am good. Let's say I'm going to print how are you ? Now there are two ways to run this program. The first way is the shortcut where we click this icon, which is a utility and a shortcut for us to run this Python program. Another way to run this Python program is by pulling this terminal or by pressing Ctrl and tilde key, which is below your escape key, and this will toggle terminal. Now this is the terminal which is opened in this folder. You can always open terminal in a folder by right clicking and clicking open in terminal. For your convenience, Visual Studio Code provides you terminal within Visual Studio Code, and you can always type commands which will be executed in this terminal. So if you type Python and pass it name of the file, which is main.py, this is going to execute this program. Let's try this, and you can see we have hello Harry, I am good, how are you printed on the screen. Now let's understand how Python processes this file. It is going to read the file from top to bottom and execute all these instructions step by step. Line number 1 says print hello Harry on the screen. Line number 2 says print I am good on the screen. Line number 3 says print how are you on the screen. And by default, print function prints a new line character after it has printed all the characters passed to it. Now anything you write in double quotes is a string in Python, and we are passing a string here, which is hello Harry. We are going to learn about more data types in the later videos, but for now we are passing strings to print. Can we pass a number to print? Yes, we can do that. And if you say print 3 and again run this program by pressing the up arrow key. Up arrow key is a shortcut to directly go to the previous command we typed in the terminal. And the moment you press enter key, you are going to see hello Harry, I am good, how are you, and 3. So it is executing all these instructions line by line, which results in this output. Now what happens if we, let us say, type some gibberish in the file? The very first thing that happens is Visual Studio Code warns us of this. And it says that, hey, you are doing something wrong, please fix it. And if we ignore that and we again run our program like we were doing, it says syntax error, invalid syntax, which means that it says that, hey, I am not able to understand what you mean. Could you please fix the code and give the file to me again? And it also tells me where exactly the error is. It says line number 4 has error. Please fix line number 4. So since this is a syntax error, none of the instructions are executed, because as part of the first step, Python scans the file and it scans it for any error, or rather any syntax error, which is very basic. This is a very basic error that it encountered. So it halted the execution of program altogether, and it tells me that at line number 4 you have an error, please fix this error, and then only you can execute this file. So let's remove this gibberish And as you can see, the color of the file is no longer red, which means I'm good to go and I can execute this program as usual. So this was how we can exactly use print statement in Python. But there is more to syntax in Python. For example, there is something called if statement, which we are going to cover in the later videos. But if I write if and I say a is greater than 3, and if I type a colon, which means I want to go inside this if statement, and I press enter, do you see it automatically adds this white space? This auto white space is called indentation in Python. And it is really very important in Python because it is a way for Python to understand that you are inside this if statement. So anything I write here is inside the if statement, and anything I write here is outside the if statement. We are going to cover if statements in great detail in the future videos, but this is for you to understand what indentation is. This space is an indication that this SFD, SFD, SF is inside if. Let me call it statement 1, statement 1. Let me call this statement 2. So statement 1 is inside the if statement, and statement 3 is also inside if statement. And since I'm not using this white space here, it means that I'm outside if statement. So indentation is a way to tell Python program whether you are inside a block or not. You are inside this if block if there are spaces here. We are going to cover if statement in great detail in the future, but for now understand that this is called indentation. Now this is an error because we don't have a defined, we don't have statement 1 defined. What is statement 1? It's nothing. It's a wrong syntax. If I go ahead and execute this program by typing main.py, it says name a is not defined. It is throwing errors because this program doesn't make any sense for now. Indentation plays a very important role in Python, and we are going to learn more about indentation when we talk about loops and conditional statements. For now, I want to remove this part of program because it is creating errors in my file. But can I do that without actually removing this line of code? Now you might wonder what it exactly mean to remove a piece of code by actually not removing it. What I mean is that is there a way for me to keep this in the code without actually having Python interpreter to understand this? And yes, there is a way. If you select this code and press Ctrl+// in your keyboard, this code will convert into this hashtag, 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 and anything that starts with a hashtag in Python is a comment. What is a comment? Comment is a way for programmers which instruct the Python interpreter that, hey, ignore this line. So in this program, I'm telling my Python to ignore this line, ignore this line, ignore this line as a whole, ignore this line as a whole as well. And now if I execute this program, you'll see that we no longer see an error because it is ignoring line number 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now we are going to cover more on comments in the future videos, but for now, this was the syntax of Python in a nutshell. As we dive deeper into the topics, you are going to understand each and every topic in great detail. So don't worry if you don't grasp everything of this video, but I hope you got the basics that the Python interpreter executes all these code line by line. We can pass anything to print function. There can be other functions like print function. We can even write a custom function that we'll see later in the videos. And we use multiple spaces as indentation in Python so that we can understand which lines of code are inside a particular block. In the upcoming videos, we are going to understand more about Python fundamentals, like what a variable is, what a data type is, how to take user input in Python. See you in the next video.